Hey you folks, Quilly18 here, and welcome to another episode of Let's Play Kerbal Space Program. This is our relatively heavily modded game of Kerbal, and we're going to be continuing that, the one that we started a while back on the live stream. And today, I'm going to do the kickoff space tourism mission to get started here, because it was going to expire in something like 20 days or something like that, and it would be fun to go through here. This is part of the Tourism Plus. It's mod, but it's just a pack of contracts, and it's quite fun to give it a little bit of structure. So we're going to start with that. We also have missions to do some moon stuff later on, including this explore the moon mission to walk on the surface. I guess we'll accept that actually before we miss out on it. We have some instructions to do some flybys of Eve and Duna and all those things, which will probably happen soon. We'll probably want to put a satellite in orbit around the moon at some point too. These are pretty good money contracts. We've got some already, so we'll see. But for now, the mission we're going to start on first is kick off space tourism. We got to bring Tito Kerman into an actual orbit. He's got to stay in there for 4 hours. It's got to be above 75K as well. And then we get some money, but more importantly, advance the space tourism contract. Now, we have to remember we are running the life support mod. As a result, we need to make sure that 2 Kerbals, well, I suppose I could put him in a pod controlled by a, just a probe, but that doesn't seem like, you know, the safest, most ideal way to do space tourism or whatever. It just doesn't feel quite right. So I think what I'd like to do is send up an actual Kerbin in piloting here, and then there we go, the Mark 1 crew cabin over here, which got room for 2 more people. What's the weight of this thing? 1 ton exactly. Because the other alternative would be, I guess I could do an inline cockpit, but that's also 1 ton. Or the retro cockpit, or I could stack 2 command pods. Actually, that might be terrible, because the command pods are slightly less weight. I could just stack 2 of these like this. It looks a little bit funny, but there's no reason this wouldn't work. I mean, it might look a little bit less funny if I was like putting them back to back like this. Maybe put the door on the same side. It's kind of interesting, to be honest. I mean, it doesn't really make a difference one way or another. I think I'll just go ahead and go that way, and that's going to be okay. We are probably for safety, although, oh, that's right, we're using real chutes, so we can actually tune a single Mark 16 parachute to be the correct weight for this, which is going to be okay. We'll include a heat shield, although returning from just regular orbit, I don't think we strictly need the heat shield, but let's be safe. So we're just going to call this thing like the Tourism Mark 1. Which is probably only mostly going to get used the 1 time, but that's going to be all right. So something like this. I don't think we're going to put solar panels or anything on the top bit. In terms of life support modules and everything, I think what we'll do, just to keep the weight of this part down, is we'll have everything on the next stage. So I'm going to go to the action group, click here to open the real shoots thing, and just, yeah, I guess I don't even, yeah, whatever. Select this, doesn't matter. Oh, it sets it to triple shoot, but it's all on the same kind of default settings. We'll go and apply this, and that's going to be a-okay. All right, so that parachute has been set for the correct weight for bringing that part home. So then we're just going to get a stack decoupler. We just have to get to orbit, so we don't need crazy amounts of delta V. But it is going to be a little heavier. The question is, do we want to finish up our orbital stuff with the Terrier or not? I.e. the stage here that's going to be responsible for final circularization and return, is it going to have the Terrier, or is it going to have a swivel engine? Because if we do have a Terrier, I'm betting just something like that plus a Terrier is probably enough. We can save a little bit of weight. I mean, we're not going to get a whole lot of delta V. That's 1,000 delta V still. You know what? I'm quite happy with that. We're going to have tons of reaction wheels, so that's going to be okay. I do want some life support. You know what? We don't need a ton of life support. So it's got to be, it's 72 hours or something like that with 2 Kerbals. Life support over here. We need, yeah, the regular supplies. So if I take the small one, that's going to be, oh yeah, huge amount of time. There we go. That's going to be swell. It's going to add a little bit more weight to the top. Let's go ahead and just reset. Just apply settings. There we go. So it's tweaked the values a little bit. Something like that. We'll put some solar panels on the stage down here. We don't have the retractor ones. A pair is going to be fine, but 3 for safety, just to get all the ankles a little bit better covered. We're going to do that. That's going to be fine. And then we just need an ascent stage over here. So, again, a stack decoupler. We're going to grab everything, move it up. Probably a couple of, FL800s, plus a swivel engine. What are we looking at in terms of thrust to weight over here? A little low, and just a little low on the actual delta V as well. And with less surface level thrust means gravity drag is going to be more significant. More of our thrust is going to go to just canceling gravity than moving us. So we definitely are going to want just a little bit more. Honestly, a couple of SRBs would probably be sufficient, but as this is a tourism mission, let's go and over-engineer just a scooch. And what I'm going to do for that is simply going to be to get another pair of FL800s there. And do I have... No, I don't have the advanced tweakables turned on. I don't remember if you have to get to the main menu for that or not. So Oh, I haven't actually. That's right, because we're playing the real Progression 0. We don't have access to fuel lines, and therefore we don't have the access to the ability to tweak fuel flow yet either. So I can't do any kind of asparagusing. So we are not going to want this middle stage to be lit right from the start, which means we are going to want swivel engines so that we have some steering authority over there. So those engines, then the middle, then that gets us to 4,700 delta V, which is more than enough to get to orbit. With the tourism, I feel like it's my responsibility to make sure we have a larger than normal margin of error, you know, a little bit more overkill, which honestly at 4,700, that should be plenty of overkill. Surface level thrust is going to be 1.3 to start with the two engines. That's going to be plenty so that we don't have to worry about gravity drag really draining us too much. What's the difference between the yellows and the reds? I mean, weight doesn't matter. 2BD. 200. It looks like this is just a weird, incomplete reskin from probably some other mod, but that otherwise looks the same. So I'll just go ahead and do this. We're going to make sure these disconnect at the same time as these thrusters go. And I think that's going to be okay. We've got power, we've got snacks. We can get to space, we can get back. I don't think we'd have to bring any science with us. I don't think we'd have to have any antennas in any way. This should be okay. So our crew for this mission is going to be a pilot. And where's Jebediah? I'm wondering if I left this game in a state after I did a little video and Jebediah and everything are in space. We'll take a look, but we can go ahead and launch this. So we got to get to an orbit that dips no lower than 75K, so a periapsis above 75, and I think 4 hours, which means that we have like ridiculous amount of overkill of snacks. But hey, let's be safe. If we get stranded up there, we'll need the extra time to run a rescue mission. Heck, with that amount of time, we'd probably have enough time, even if we were using the Kerbal construction time mod, where it takes time to build rockets. I think we'd be okay. So let's prep. Oh, I can get the orbit info up here just for convenience. So double checking staging. I think we're pretty satisfied with this. SAS on, full throttle, and go. Oh, yeah, I could use some struts over here just to solidify this a little bit more, but we seem to be okay. And we'll do the standard thing where at about 100 meters per second, we'll go ahead and turn to about 10 degrees. And then we can kind of sort of lock ourselves to surface prograde, and it'll probably gravity turn in a way that we more or less are comfortable with. So 1K or 100 meters per second tends to be pretty good. So let's go ahead and get this going over here. And ultimately what we're looking for is our time to apoapsis to continue to grow. Once you get to at least a minute, you're going to be pretty good. If it grows too high above a minute, you're probably going up too steeply. Just as sort of, you know, rules of thumb to get an idea. There we go. Sort of around there. And if we lock yourself to prograde, and a lot of it will depend on your thrust to weight ratio as well. I'm going to go ahead and roll over here because I feel more comfortable detaching the side boosters when one's not dangling above my spaceship. It looks to me like we're climbing too steeply here, so I'm going to go ahead and encourage us to push down. Oh yeah, much too steeply. Stage down, start bringing this back, because I'd still like to be at about this 45-degree mark at about 15K. So we're going a little too steep. That's not so bad on the initial part of the ascent, though, because it means you leave the thickest part of the atmosphere faster. You're not going to be quite as flat when you get to orbit, which means your circularization burn will take a little bit longer. But actually, we're pretty darn close to being on target here. Time to apoapsis is growing, but not too fast, which I think seems like a pretty sweet spot here. Of course, you can check these numbers from the map view if you don't have a mod giving you this, but there we go. So I think I'm going to be okay going to prograde again. So the prograde will drift a little bit as just part of the actual gravity turn. Time to apoapsis is climbing, but not too fast. Very happy about that. And again, yeah, so you could check that here because you can steer from this map mode if you extend your nav ball. Right-click on the apoapsis to keep that info up. You could also right-click on your ship to keep track of your current altitude and whatnot. But I'm pretty pleased with that. So hopefully Tito's having a good time. Are you having a good time? Having a good time? Delta V's looking good. Time to apoapsis is still climbing. You know, maybe a little faster than it needs to, but not too bad. We could actually... What's our altitude here? I would feel comfortable enough, I think, to go to stability assist mode and just push ourselves down horizontally at this point. As long as our time to apoapsis keeps climbing, or at this point, honestly, if it went sort of flat, it would be okay. By doing this, we're going to encourage a flatter path. We're not quite going straight. If we're not pointing into our prograde, it means that we're going slightly sideways in the wind, which you can tell by the markers over here, which means we're getting a little bit more air drag than we could. So you're losing a little bit of your delta V to air drag, but I think here it's going to be fine. Thanks to our better, I don't know, better burn time or whatever mod, we get like the estimated time to leave the atmosphere. Apoapsis is actually going to hit 90k here, so I'm just going to kill the gas completely. And as expected, we're going to have way more fuel than we need to, but again, an extra margin of error here when we're talking about tourism seems like a relatively swell idea. Bum, 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 bum. So we'll wait until we exit the atmosphere so that our flight path here is basically resolved. Look at that, nice and flat. Our circularization is going to take no time. I'm willing to bet we might actually be able to circularize with what's left in our tank. It's only extra 330 meters per second, but it might be sufficient. I also wonder if I might be able to deploy the solar panels at this point. I mean, I know we're not out of the atmosphere yet, but there can't be much wind resistance left, right? I don't know. We can make sure that this stays open. I've actually got another one to show resources right over there, which is kind of nifty. I don't know if it's strictly better, but it looks kind of nice. I don't know. I think for our purposes, we'll do this. Just make sure the electricity stays okay. But it should be fine. I didn't bring any extra batteries. There's a possibility that partway along the orbit, we might lose power, but it's not going to be for very long. So I'm going to say it's probably fine. Re-entry in 5 minutes. Okay, so we're officially out of the atmosphere. So I still have to manually expend this. I think once we unlock the ability for MechJeb to do an automated ascent, I think at that point we'll also gain the ability to have MechJeb automatically deploy the solar panels at the appropriate time. So we're going to be planning our maneuver here at the apoapsis. Pull that out until the two symbols seem to flip. That's a little bit longer of a burn than we need, but I'll be doing the burn probably manually. I just want a general time about how long. 9 seconds worth of burn. We actually have 10.4 seconds left worth of fuel in our current fuel tank. So yeah, we don't need the second stage to circularize. I mean, we still need a little bit of fuel to, you know, come home at some point, but we got that okay. So I'm going to quick save here because I'm going to do a time warp. We don't have a whole lot of time warp to do, but we've got a little bit. I want to start to burn with about 5 seconds left. Let's go and kill that. Give us time to turn prograde again here. Looking good. So yeah, I'm not even pointing to the maneuver specifically. And in fact, I don't particularly care about having the maneuver at all. It was just a bit of a timing helper over here. I'm just waiting for the apoapsis and periapsis to start their flip. Wham. So 89, 91, pretty flat. I like that. Confirm that we've got all the green check marks over here for our flight. Indeed we do. We just have to wait long enough to complete the contract. I'm going to go ahead and jettison this part right here. And just confirm that the next engine is lit, and it is. That's great. And these guys should be fine. We can turn off the SAS just because there's no reason to spend any energy whatsoever. In case we haven't done it yet, we're going to have Valentina just do a quick EVA and confirm that... yeah, there's nothing to do there, so that's going to be fine. So we'll reboard over here, and we will quick save again. Okay, so there's a limit to how much we can time warp in space, so we'll probably just go back to the Space Center and do it there. So 4 hours. A day on Kerbal is something like, I think, 6 hours. So it's just actually shy of a day, this particular orbit. If we warp to next morning, it's going to get us a good part of the way there. You can see the time remaining here. Let's go a little bit longer. Electricity is running out. It's not actually running out. I mean, it runs out on the dark side, but not really. Oh, you're automatically... Okay, but it's not actually running out of electricity. It might be because we left it... First of all, let's get rid of this debris. Because we left it on the dark side. We left it while it wasn't generating power. So the electric charge is fine. It's currently generating, so we'll probably pop back down in a second. But everyone's fine. Electricity remaining. All the way back up. There we go. We might get a few more of those warnings. Maybe I should have just packed a battery on that. Again, they're fine, but we might get annoyed with these warnings. So open this up. We need another couple hours here. Vroom. Yeah, it's trying to de-warp me. We're fine. Okay, there we go. So, just fast forward until all the time is done. No one should be dead. Fly Tourism Mark 1. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Alright. Confirmed. No one's dead. Excellent. Electricity remaining. -2 hours. What? Recover Tito Kerman is the only thing left to do on our contract, so I'm pretty okay with that. Since we're relatively circular, there's basically no reason to wait until we're at the literal periapsis, because it's all pretty periapsis-y. So we'll go ahead and start with the burn, drop our periapsis to about 25k or so. We can actually go lower here. Right, I forget that the keyboard inputs don't work if I'm moused over one of these things. 10k is fine. We're not going that fast. Hey, it's the moon. I wonder if I could have followed this up with another contract. No, I've got to complete this one, which requires that we actually recover Tito here. I think we're good to go. I mean, you've got your full electric charge right now. So we can go and stage and warp until we re-enter the atmosphere. Okay, I will encourage Valentina to keep us facing retrograde just to make sure our rear end is a little bit more solidly into the air here. We're going to go to physics time warp here. So using a little electricity to keep the SAS going and a little bit for the life support, but I'm fairly confident that that should be okay. Hopefully the parachute does work properly as designed here. So we're still going fairly sideways. There's going to be a lot of air between us and the ground. I mean, obviously, this way, the amount of air between us and the ground is constant, but because we're going in at a diagonal, we're going to spend more time in the air than if we came straight down. Should be plenty of opportunity to slow us down. We're still at ×4 time warp. Very confident that's going to be okay. Wasn't terribly concerned about this mission. It's very easy to forget something. But other than forgetting something, this is the sort of mission that it's like, okay, I think I've got a pretty good handle on. And I just wanted to take care of it because it was close to expiring. And I do want to do the Tourism Plus stuff because it's quite fun. We've done it once before a long time ago. I don't think we did it when we had Life Support mod, though. So it's going to be really interesting to go through more of these missions going forward here. But next, I think we're going to do... I think we'll probably do the manned moon landing because... Yeah, we haven't done that yet. Right? In this game? I mean, clearly not, because I have a contract for it. I think we've landed a probe, which is why we can do the manned moon landing. Which is interesting. Did NASA land a probe on the moon before sending a manned mission? I mean, I know the Russians did. Although, I don't know if they landed so much as crashed into, like, intentionally, a probe. We're actually accelerating here, which is kind of amazing. Which to me says it's time to start deploying the parachutes. Got the triple shoot thing going on. Quick save because I'm going to physics warp some more. always has an opportunity to go really wrong when you physics warp with your ship, but I think we're going to be okay. There's the full deployment. Surface speed should be okay. We could ditch the heat shield, but no, we're going to land plenty fine over here. Turn off the SAS. And recover Tito Kerman. Sploosh. Hooray! Recover vessel. Done and done. I think that gave us a whole lot of money, too, which is going to be handy, because I think we've got a few more KSC upgrades that are going to be needed in the short term. I mean, there's... Obviously, eventually we need to upgrade everything to the max, more or less. Done and done. Let's take a look at the Tourism Plus contract, just to see the timing in terms of expiration dates. 12 days. Although I can accept it now and just deal with it later. Oh, these are specific locations. Suborbital trajectory. So you need to be above 70. So we have to be in space. Do you actually have to literally be in a suborbital trajectory as you're over this location? That becomes really tricky to time out. I could just put them in an orbit around that location. I don't know if being in an actual orbit will also satisfy this, because orbit is suborbital plus, but I suspect it won't. Here's bring one tourist to low Kerbal orbit. I think I'm going to accept it, because it's not going. It doesn't have an actual duration. So once we take it, it's going to be in our queue now. So that's going to be okay. Grand Tourist Tour of Jewel? Seriously? Expires in 15 days? Yeah, that's a little bit beyond our scope right now. Investor Tour. Oh, we choose one. Either the casino or the hotel. Casino is more difficult. So when does this expire? In 55 days. So we just have to give someone a tour of the KSC. I'm going to take this because we're going to want to do that later on. Okay, that's going to be okay. SETI contracts, right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to, well, I guess in the next video, we are going to try to land a Kerbal on the actual moon over here. Did I not take an Explore Moon contract that was available? Explore the moon. Rendezvous, ooh. Well, I'll take it. Rendezvous 2 vessels in orbit on the moon and plant a flag on the moon. So that's like very, wow. That's very Apollo kind of program. That, I don't know if that's within our scope or not, if we can pull that off. I think to pull that off, we really need a lot of like 2.5 meter parts unlocked, which we're not really in a position to do. I do have some extras. Oh, oh, you have to pick up. All right, you have to pick up the person. Well, I hope they're okay to wait out there a while. Is there any chance that life support will kill them if I don't go and pick them up soon? We actually might have to do this investor mission right now. Okay, I can do that. I'll build a rover. And the game just crashed. I have no idea what the last autosave would be. Probably after we landed and recovered. Wow, that's really annoying. Well, I don't know what the next episode will be. I might just do the investor tour between episodes if it's still available, because it's just driving around the KSC. It means nothing. So we'll see what happens next time. Thanks for watching. See you then.